Hi, everybody. Welcome to Ask the Amigos, where we answer our Discord community's burning questions. We lead things off with Andy Craig. He says, can you list all the Amiga video adapters you guys have tried from 2015 till now?
Oh my God.
Do you have any favorites, horror stories, or lessons learned?
What do you mean video adapters? What do you mean, like capture boards?
Everything.
I mean, the OSSC, we've had two of those, and one you blew up and I fixed.
Mm-hmm.
So we had two of those.
But that's fairly recently compared to the other stuff.
Then we had the Elgatos.
The first thing that we had.
Elgatos.
The first thing that we had was the GBS 8220 board, that Chinese
the
board
thing.
Yeah,
you blew that up too.
Oh yeah, you're right, I did. And then we had another one. I did buy another one.
I don't know where that one's at.
It's still in my basement. I think I threw it away.
Makes sense.
And so that went into a capture device. And then we had we did spend a little bit of time with the old composite adapter, the A520.
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah.
Yep.
That thing sucked.
And then you crafted your own VGA cable. That was one of our very early videos.
Yeah.
We still have a clip of that in the open.
Then we've also Jason Warrens made us that S-Video out for the Amiga. We used that for a while.
Yep.
But it sort of screwed up after a while, but it worked for a good while. I used that quite a bit to capture too. But then eventually, and then we also, don't forget the old SCART gimmick.
Yep,
we did the SCART gimmick with the doodad from everyone uses from freaking Amazon. We used that. But in terms of capture devices, we've had probably 4 different Elgato devices.
Yeah, and then I had a capture device that was it was the metal box. It was really early when the lag, it's like a 4-second lag.
Well, let's not forget about our use of the double VCR. And then you bought one that didn't work specifically because we could route stuff through the Atari and the Coco through it.
Yeah, the global VCR.
I've still got mine in there.
I still have mine. I can't get rid of it.
And then we also have, I've got the Retro Tink 2X. I got one of those. I've got so many generic ones. It's unbelievable. Then I've got the Avertech that I use now, the Dual. That's the king dong of capture boards, but it's an internal capture board. That's the only bad part about it. So I used that one. I mean, I've got a drawer full of these things.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And you know, I just saw today that Reese was demoing the OSSC like Pro or the King Dong. It's a new version. And I was like, well, you know what that means? That's the end of the OSSC getting any support.
Right.
But I mean, the OSSC was hard to use.
Yeah.
It was very kit computery. Like it was hard to understand how to use it.
Yeah.
But the funny thing is, if we were just outputting video from old machines, no problem. Like the Tink does that fine. It's the capturing of that output that makes it tough.
Right.
You know.
Right.
So I told myself I'm done buying these things. And then I bought one more, but now I'm done. The Mister helped out a lot. That's one of the main reasons I love the Mister. It always works.
It always works. David Cavalieri asks, when was the last time you burned a music CD? What was the name of the CD?
Boy, the last time I burned a music CD was probably an unnamed CD full of podcasts. I used to go back and forth. I worked at when I lived in Kentucky, and after I'd left IBM, but before I worked at the scanning place, I had a job as a security guy at this abandoned, it was a shut down old folks home. And so it was a long drive. It was in Simpsonsville, Kentucky. And so I would burn podcasts and put them on discs and listen to them then. I think that's the last time I had to actually burn stuff to listen to on CD, because eventually I could just play MP3s in a thing and listen to those. So I think that's probably the last thing I burned. I can't think of any other audio CDs. Unless I did a favor for somebody. What about you?
I still do it all the time.
Yeah, for band stuff?
Well, no, because I have a digitization business. And people come to me and they have a copy of a CD and they're like, I need 5 copies of this CD. And so I do it. And so I still do it for myself. It was, I mean, we're going back over a decade, because I've had MP3 players. And, you know, like, even back before I had, I went through a phase where I had CD players in my car and I was playing CDs.
Yeah.
And then I went through a phase where I was actually using the cassette adapter with an MP3 player.
Oh, yeah.
And I used that forever.
Yeah, me
I used
too.
that forever.
Me too.
Basically until I moved back from overseas, and then my car had Bluetooth, and then it's been Bluetooth since then. So
my buddy Shag, when I worked at IBM, he came up with a way to play MP3s in his car, but he actually had a full-size PC in his car.
wow.
In his trunk. And he ran all these wires and stuff. And I remember, like, after he had this thing rigged up and he screwed up the electricity in his car about 20 times, trying to get it wired up. Like, we saw, that's when, like, the Diamond Rio and stuff came out. I was like, look at that, Shag. He was like, oh, man. The first thing I had that would play MP3s in the car was a cassette gimmick, like you said. But it was somebody made a CD, like a CD Walkman, that would play MP3s. And that was
I had one of those.
And that's what I gave up on actually burning.
I did. There was a small amount of time too, I think, when I had the radio transceiver. Like you had a thing that would plug onto the bottom of your iPad, and you match up the FM station.
I've used that in the past year.
You match it up,
Because my car, for a while, the Jeep doesn't have anything, and so I didn't have anything. But now I've got. In fact, what am I saying? I still use it every day. That's what I've got. But you Bluetooth into the transmitter. So yeah, that's exactly what I use.
Let's see here. Pajako6502 writes, "Do you worry about backing up all your retro ROMs, or do you just rely on the fact that you can re-download everything or know someone that has what you need?"
B.
I mean, I've never backed up. I just have my ROMs folder, and if it would go away, I would download a new ROMs folder.
Well, I mean, I've downloaded the same ROM sets probably 1,000 times.
Me too.
And like, here's what I like to do, and I've done this for years, is I like human backups. So I'll spread it around. You know that 2 terabyte Batocera video I did? I've got that image on my hard drive because Brent was supposed to come over and let me knock him off a copy of it. Well, he hasn't. And I can only keep a 2 terabyte file.
That's a lot of terabytes.
For so long.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping someone else is going to come around and be like, give me that. And then I can give them a dupe of it. Because I don't like having the only one. Because it only takes one little screw up in your bone.
Right.
And I don't want to download it again.
Is2Scooby asks, what's the most fun you've had in the last year?
You can go first on that one, Bo.
My England trip, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it was so much fun. Every day was so much. Because, I mean, when do you have an opportunity to go somewhere and you've got buddies that are like, hey, we're going to take you everywhere you want to go and we're going to do everything you want to do?
Yeah.
That never happens.
I've never had that opportunity in my whole life. Man, that makes what I was going to say look much crap. I mean, in the past year, we went to Galloping Ghost. That was pretty awesome.
Was fun.
Of course, we had Amiga Boat Fest last year, which was a lot of fun. That's still in the calendar year.
Yep.
I'm going to be selfish, though, and say the most fun I had was when me and Luke went down to the pinball museum in Corbin. That was a perfect trip, and what really blew me away was, this is what, I love pinball. I can play pinball all day, but there aren't that many people that can do that. But my son surprised me by being totally in love with this place and can't wait to go back. And it was very endearing to me.
That's fantastic. That's a worthy answer.
Plus, the waterfall,
the lodge was nice at Corbin.
It was nice.
Yeah.
So we don't get to take that many trips, So I enjoyed that. I enjoyed that a lot.
David Hearn Ryder asks, a Romulan, a Dalek, and a Cylon. Here I said Dalek correctly.
Yeah,
I'm proud of myself.
Yeah, good job.
Enter your bar and demand to be served. In what order do you serve them and why?
So you said it was a
Romulan, a Dalek, and a Cylon.
Well, Cylon would be last. There's no doubt because those guys don't have great movement.
Are you talking about the old Cylons or the new one from the better Battlestar Galactica?
Well, the better one was from the 70s.
You don't think the new one with the chick Starbuck was better?
No, I don't think that.
But it ran for like 1 million seasons.
So what?
The original Battlestar Galactica.
I'm not saying it was
one
bad.
Season. And that was out.
It ran more than one season.
It only ran. Ask the chat. It only ran one season.
What about no? They had at least 2
There was
years.
1980 and all those other shows, but I'm talking about
Have you watched any of the original Battlestar Galactica? Because if you name one episode you watched, did you watch any of the new one for that matter? Okay, that's what I thought. So we're disregarding your idiot comment. Anyway, Cylons from the old show are slow. They're not really nimble. Daleks, the thing in old school Doctor Who, Daleks would kill you like that. They did like twice.
What is their method of destruction?
They got a death beam they shoot out.
Okay.
Yeah, it's nasty. And then Romulan's just like a dude.
Right.
So it'd probably be, if they all wanted to drink, it'd probably be the Dalek first, then the Romulan, and then the Cylon. Also, Cylons are robots, and Daleks don't have a means to actually take in liquid.
Can Daleks speak?
Oh yeah, like exterminate. They they get a voice box again. Like, they're little aliens inside of this crazy battle armor, basically.
Oh,
they're integrated into it. Yeah.
I saw a Dalek at the Huntington Comic Con.
Oh
when
yeah,
I went.
They hang out.
Yeah.
Just once they get the stairs.
But I never saw it talk or anything. I didn't know what its function was.
Here's the problem: Doctor Who has, and listen, Battlestar Galactica, the new one, was totally fine. I watched a bunch of them; they were fine. The old one is a little bit cheesy, but it has its charms. All right, so I like them both. Doctor Who has fallen so far down. I'm out. I'm all the way out. And it's a perfect example of a show that overstayed its welcome, and they've ruined the show for life. They retconned years and years and years of development and stuff. So the Dalek, now that I think about it, he doesn't need to get fed at all. Screw that guy. I'll just let him kill me before I give him a drink, just to protest how much I hate what they've done to the show.
Do Daleks still roam about in the new Doctor Who universe?
That night, I don't guess. I don't know.
Okay, I was just curious. I know what a Romulan is. I don't know what those other guys are. So I'm going to say the Romulan first. That's it.
You give them Romulan ale, too.
I know, yeah, like. Romulan ale. Is2Scooby asks, what's your favorite thing about where you live? Want to take it first?
Go ahead, bud.
No traffic. The first thing you notice when you go anywhere else other than here is that traffic sucks. I love being able to get in my car and go where I need to go and never run into traffic. It's awesome.
Well, there's a lot of things I love. If I had to pick just one, it would be the natural beauty. I love how beautiful it is here. Everywhere you go, you can't go anywhere in this state where you can't see a lovely mountain or a forest. And and the mountains and rivers and streams are beautiful, and everywhere you go, you see them. If you go to the worst part of any town here, and just kind of look up a little bit, you're going to see rolling hills covered in trees, and you can be on those hills in about 5 minutes. Just walk over there, and you've got the freedom to do it. So
Another thing that I like is that you can go somewhere and you can be by yourself.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of places where you can't really get away from people. And here you can go places. And I can go someplace, and it's not like the middle of nowhere. You can go to like some park or something like that, and you can literally just hang out for half an hour and never see another person.
Absolutely. There's a lot of freedom here to go about your business how you want. And the thing is, you could be sociable, or you could be someone that just goes out in the woods and doesn't see another human for as long as you want. I love that.
Yeah. Is2Scooby's third question is, what's one thing that really impressed you recently?
Well, you have a thought on that? I'm going to think about that for a minute. First thing that popped in my head was the new AI music capabilities. That has really... I've been listening to a channel of nothing but AI-assisted music.
Really?
And it's outstanding. It is. And if I hadn't heard it made by people I know, I'd think they were lying. And it's not just like a good substitute for like a human band or whatever. That some people, you think of like an artist, like a painter, okay? He could be the best painter in the world, but if he doesn't have access to like brushes and canvases and paint, his talent is just hanging out in the void, and that's just a lot easier to obtain than like a band. If you want to do a big band thing or a rock band thing or an opera or whatever, and that's one of the advantages that you get from using this. And I mean, it's blown me away in every facet: traditional, folk, orchestral, everything. It's unbelievable what they're coming up with, and this is going to be the new hotness, and so I've been real impressed with that.
I'm glad you said that, because my answer is very similar, and I can't believe I forgot it. I usually spend about half an hour to 45 minutes conversing with my voice with ChatGPT.
Yeah.
I'll go home, and instead of putting on a podcast, I'll just turn it on and I'll just start talking to it. I'll ask it questions. I'll have it, you know, like write things for me, stuff I need to do for school.
Yeah.
I'll just sit there and I'll talk to it like a human, and it'll answer me like a human. It's amazing. It's amazing.
Yeah, and I mean, it's not AI to me is a little bit like EVs or like solar power. Like we're not there yet. You're not going to be, and there's some mockery about it. Oh, they screw up and stuff. But in the little amount of time that the public has had access to this, it's got exponentially more powerful, and it's going to. I mean, God only knows what the biggest governments have at their disposal. I can't even. But there's no way we could even guess. But as a person, a public person, just a normal guy, the tools that are at our disposal now for a nominal fee or free. Are, unbelievable.
Yeah.
So AI.
Hal Price asks, did you see the post from Amiga Cami? Oh boy.
She's in here.
Saying that she is looking for someone to help with the game jam and source the prizes. Aaron's rundown of the entries last year was great. Would you consider getting involved as an official capacity?
Boats involved in an official capacity.
Yeah. So Cami asked me to judge the jam this year. So yeah, we're getting involved. We're getting involved.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun going through those last. There was another one of those nights where I was like, man, what am I going to do tonight on the street? It's just something you haven't seen. And I was like, you know, you get these games, I haven't really seen them, but playing them. Let's give these a whirl. Josh, 48K RAM, he goes through in history and he'll play like all the entries and there's like one line of DOS, you know, basic. So it's not like I'm some kind of genius that came up with it, but I was like, man, that's a good idea, and it gets them out there. I love that sort of thing.
That's right. That's right.
Pick a winner, Boat, for God's sake.
I will try my best. Pajako6502 writes, what's the title of your autobiography going to be called?
What do you got in mind?
I saw a tombstone once, and this is a shoot.
Yeah.
It just said, it had the guy's name and his date of birth and his date of death, and it said, I had a great time. And if I can live my life and go down thinking that,
get your water out of there.
My voice is dying on me here.
Get your water. That's why I brought you one.
That's what I'm going for. What about you, man?
On your gravestone, get this man a water.
Get this man a water.
I think mine would be called Nothing to See Here. That'd be the one. I think that's the title I would come up with. I can't imagine someone sitting down and reading a biography about me.
Well, can you imagine somebody listening to you answer questions from Discord?
Yeah, I can't imagine that because they ask the questions. It's not like I came up with good, clever, interesting questions.
Well, that's what, for your autobiography, people are just they're gonna amass all of your responses from all the questions I've asked the Amigos.
Geez, that's all I need.
And then publish that as a book.
So I'll be burned at the stake, is what you're saying. That's at least I know how I'm going to go.
Mr. Dave 6309 writes, on your way back from a job, ever get attacked by the same 3 MiGs that used to attack the Airwolf dudes each week?
I loved Airwolf. Have you ever watched the episode of Airwolf?
Is that, this is the...
Scoot this way, Bo. Get in the middle here.
Is this a motorcycle show?
No. Airwolf is the helicopter.
I guess Air, yeah.
We played the ZX Spectrum.
Is that your ringtone?
That's my ringtone.
That's all I know about Airwolf.
Airwolf was a show that had Jan, Michael Vincent, and Ernest Borgnine as your main stars. Ernest Borgnine, the great Oscar winner, and they piloted believe it or not, Ernest got into a helicopter and piloted this Airwolf helicopter. The helicopter could do a multitude of things, including, like, I believe it could even fly upside down.
Wow.
It had to. I know it could do loops. It had, rockets and machine guns and cool computers and crap.
So it was like the Kit of the skies.
It was exactly like that. Except Jan Michael Vincent and Ernest Borgnine weren't as charismatic as Hasselhoff. You got to give the Hoff credit.
I give him a lot of credit. What do you think about my leg on the screen like that? You think that's a good look?
No. It's like olive oil came in. But anyway, yes, they were randomly attacked by mystery planes all the time. It'd be like they'd be in the U.S. It's like, who are these guys? Where do they get these choppers? I feel like, I tell you, yesterday I was on a long road trip with my partner at work, and he was driving, and we almost got killed like 3 or 4 times. Just one chick just decided to get over. We're in the lane, and she's meandering. We're like, ah! So I think sometimes I would replace a MiG, because in Western you don't have MiGs.
No.
You've got low-level, crappy cars that try to kill you. So I will say in that regard, yes, they've been trying to get me.
Give me the rundown of a stereotypical plot from this show, Because I just can't imagine, how are they going to work the helicopter in every time?
Well, I mean, a plot might be some drug runners, or it could be a foreign power, or it could be an evil bad guy that's got his own set of choppers that are bad. You know, or maybe they have to fly overseas to do something.
Oh, okay.
Like it would do, but I
guess
mean,
that makes sense.
the plots weren't that good at all. They're
But just watching the helicopter do loops and stuff, that was really the star of the
and
show.
also they would play the theme. When you're like, and then when the theme kicked up, you're like, oh yeah.
You knew something was going. Yeah, that makes sense.
I mean, Airwolf is not a landmark TV
is it
show.
better than A-Team?
No.
Okay.
Because A-Team had big personalities, charisma and stuff.
Yeah.
This didn't have any of that.
Is it better than, what was the motorcycle show?
Street Hawk?
Street Hawk.
Yes, it's better than Street Hawk.
There you go. That's the pantheon right there.
That's where the Street Hawk's at the bottom of the barrel.
Sheila Dixon writes, last time someone asked about Boat's real name. I had been hoping to hear where the nickname Boat of Car came from, but I'm still in the dark about that one. And how did you two amigos meet? So Boat of Car is the name of the Might Be Giants song. That is, I've heard that it's about the Chippewa incident. This is the Kennedy that drove over the bridge.
Oh, what's the name of that? Shoot. Go ahead. I'll think of the actual.
But
name.
that's what the song has been said to be about that event.
All right.
But I needed an online moniker. My original online moniker was SCV Fan 99.
That's no good.
It's no good.
What's SCV?
It's a drum corps.
Oh God.
And so
Nerd alert.
So I need something less
Chappaquiddick.
Chappaquiddick.
Yes.
There we go. So I needed something that was less nerdy. So I went the They Might Be Giants song.
I mean, that's the slightest step up.
Yeah. Anyway, so
what did you use before the band one? Like, what was the very first thing you ever came up with to be your online handle? We all were there.
Hajij.
What's that mean?
It was the name on a Magic card, but it was misspelled.
I mean, every step of the way.
yeah.
Each game dorkier
But then
than
a lot of people thought that I was some sort of like, this was around the September 11th times, and it wasn't good to have a name that sounded like that.
That's so weird to me, because I picked my handle in like it was like 1983 or something. It's so far from that.
Well, yeah, because you're 10 years older than me.
Well, I know, but it's just to hear you say that, it just...
Yeah,
that was like 20 years later.
Well, I picked it was 1996. So I had that from 1996 to 2001. Okay.
Yeah.
And then SCV Fan 99, that was when Instant Messenger was a thing. Remember Instant Messenger on AOL?
Yeah. They just retired ICQ.
Yeah.
But that's another one.
Yeah, and so that was, and then Boat of Car, I think, was pretty much from like 2002. It was when I joined the Digital Press forums with Flack and all them.
Now
so
you're stuck with it.
I'm going to be Boat of Car for the rest of my life.
You could do worse.
I
had some pretty bad handles early on. And Chad, holy smokes, this guy, he's the mother of all horrible names.
What was his most horrible name?
Oh man, well when I first met him, he went by that moniker Shadow Master, and I used to mock him in Cecily. So then he changed that to the Integrator, and then I mocked him some more. Then he was Sidewinder. His TSI name's equally as goofy. I can't remember what it is now.
Frazzled one?
No, yeah, Frazzled one. Oh, he was Dark as Ozzy.
Yeah, Dark as Ozzy.
Frazzled one. So he's always...
So what about your litany of names?
The very first one I had was the Hammer, because that's my cool
Hank
guy.
Aaron?
No, like Greg the Hammer Valentine.
Oh, okay.
And then I was the Devil Bunny. That was it. That's all I've had. You know, I read Devil Bunny in a Bloom County comic, much like yourself. I looked around the room to see what I could come up with. That comic was open, and it was on the page. The one time they ever said that term in the entire run of the book. And I was like, Devil Bunny. And then from then on, everyone thought I was a woman. So it worked out great.
It worked out great.
Yeah.
You got all the wares.
Yeah. That's true.
Next up is Santar. He says, are you a bigger fan of sweets or salty snacks?
Sweets.
I'm the opposite. I'm all about the savory.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I'll go to work on a salty snack.
Yeah, but all things being equal, you go for the sweet.
Put a little salt on the chocolate. I'm good to go there, too. I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Whatever will kill me, I'm into it.
I don't say no to many kinds of food.
No, I've seen you say yes to it as much as you can shovel in your face.
That's true. Most of the time when we get together, I don't hold back.
But like at Amigathon, it was like... It looked like the Tasmanian devil hit the table. It's like,
yeah, I was ill after that.
I wonder why. You ate as much as 6 men.
Pajako6502 writes, What's the coolest feely or video game bonus item that you own or that you want?
That I want?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, God. You know, the funny thing is I pirated so much stuff. Didn't get a lot of feelies. I've got the cloth map from EverQuest. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, that is cool.
What did I want? I wouldn't mind having the T-shirt from Shadow of the Beast. That'd be kind of cool, you know. But you know, really, I wouldn't mind having that Ultra kit of if you watch Kim Justice's thing on Top Banana, you can get the thing that comes with the record and stuff. I wouldn't mind having like the complete set. That'd be kind of fun to have, you know. What about you?
My favorite video game sort of feely is I have a foam core display piece for the PSP Katamari Damacy game.
Oh yeah, that's your favorite. Too.
It was a standee sort of like this that's got the King of the Cosmos on it and the little guys rolling around. And it was meant to have a Katamari ball on there, but there's not one there, and there's a little slot that you'd put the game in. And so I can't remember if I acquired that by nefarious means when I was in Korea, or if I asked the person running the shop if I could have it. I'm guessing the latter.
Let me tell you something. It's funny you should mention that. You know, I love the Rocky Horror Picture Show. There was a video store near my house that had a standee for the Rocky Horror Picture Show, and I coveted it. And so I did. That's one of the few things I ever stole. I stole this cardboard standee out of this guy's video store.
How did you do it?
I waited till they weren't looking, and I walked out with it.
Cunning.
In the 90s and the 80s, you could get away with that because nobody had cameras.
It's true.
Don't steal, by the way. But if it's something you really want, I think it's okay. I stole, in my whole life, I've only stole 2 things ever. And one thing I didn't feel like I was stealing. It was that standee, and then, and this is not counting software, at one time I bought an Amiga format or something, and the disc didn't work, and so I went to the grocery store and took the disc out of another magazine.
Oh, I don't think that's not stealing.
I was really mad because those things are expensive.
Graham W. Vebke asks,
The dub.
ICC and the Pod Jam were both major successes. When is the next one?
Who wrote this?
Graham.
He knows better than even ask.
When's the next ICC? Let's tackle that first.
I'll probably never do another one.
That's not true.
I mean, how many do we have to do? You know, we've done a lot of these things. Yeah, we did. The last one got over, but I mean, you know, one of these days, maybe in September or something.
September, the next
the next
ICC.
I don't know yet.
When's the next Pod Jam?
That's not something you run again, is it? I think that thing's ran its course. I don't think you do.
Okay, no more Pod Jams.
I mean, can you do those every year? A Pod Jam?
Well, they do game jams every year.
Right, but I mean, how many people we had to do the pod thing? But 9 people, counting me and Brent.
Yeah.
I mean, you think there's some people out there that are like, wow, I sure missed out on that. I'm going to hope they do it again. I doubt it.
I think so. There's already been people on the Discord that said that.
If one person tells me that they missed out and they want to do it again, then maybe we'll do it. If I get maybe two people.
Okay.
And not just people in here right now that try to make me do work. And Roy Boat did all the work, so you're just hanging him up to dry.
Paul Harrington, man, I miss you, Paul. Did you ever catch yourself using Z instead of Z after starting Our Sinclair?
I say it every time for everything. That's not it's over for me.
So you've crossed over.
Yeah. Anytime I have to say the Z, I just say Z every time.
It's better.
Some people mock Americans for doing that, and they should.
Yeah.
Because I used to mock us, but I've become one.
Yeah.
And
you've become what you hate.
You know, the funny thing is, like when we started doing Our Sinclair, me and you did back in the day, like there wasn't a secret meeting where we're like, listen, we need to call this a Z80 or Z. You know, I don't know why. Everyone else did, because when you talk about stuff like from another country, you just use their pronunciation. You know, that's just the way it is.
Yeah, I still say Z unless we're talking about something that's related to 80s computers from England.
I mean, how often is the
Scotland.
one letter Z come up in a sentence? I mean, that's the thing. It's not hard.
Well,
if this was like the I, let's say they pronounced I, that's how they pronounced it. And so I was like, man, I'm hungry. I'm going to get me drink. That'd be a lot harder. But Z, you never use it like that. You know?
It's true.
That's the way it should be pronounced. I'm starting to turn the corner.
Pixels of Dawn writes, with the show spawning Boat Fest and the Pod Jam over the years, the question has to be, when is Boat Jam coming? I'm glad you asked, Pixels of Dawn, because that is how my replacement is going to be found. You know, I've always envisioned Boat of Car as being sort of a Dread Pirate Robert situation, where there's going to be another boat waiting in the wings,
Zorro.
And he will take over. He will shave his head.
This poor bum?
He will become extremely tubby. He'll wear green shirts to the green screen. It'll be great.
Are we going to have an Aaron jam as well?
No, you'll never leave. You're immortal.
Oh, incorrect, sir.
You're immortal.
The second you say I'm out, this sucker's shutting down. I'm telling you that right now.
Andy Craig writes, is there a first-person video game that comes close to the feel of playing tabletop RPGs like Dungeons & Dragons? A first-person video game.
No, I can't think of one off the top of my head. First person, so it's from your eyes.
Yeah, from your eyes.
And here's the thing. I played EverQuest for years, just as an example. And you think to yourself, well, maybe EverQuest. But none of those things felt like playing an actual like an actual role-playing game. We just played your games and Brent's a couple months ago. Like, can you think of anything where you get that same sort of feeling as playing a live RPG? I mean,
no, because to me, I'm in such a different headspace when I play a tabletop RPG, because it's such a social thing. I am not a social video game player. I never liked, because I always associate playing with other people as having an obligation. And it's like you have to be there at this time to do this thing.
And you've made an effort.
And you've made an effort.
So you've got skin in the game.
Right, right. And
that's exactly right.
And when I play video games, I like to relax and not owe anything to anybody. I like to lay there in my slug-like state on the recliner and barely move. Boozed up, that's right. When I play tabletop, it's different. I don't like to drink and play. I like to...
No, hold on a second here. That's got to be garbage. Because we used to get liquored up when we played Brent's game.
It's possible that I might have had a few.
The captain was never sober during the entire time he was played.
Okay, let me rephrase.
One of the all-time classic characters.
I like to. I may have a drink or two.
Was that the first time you ever role-played? It was, wasn't it? When we played that Cthulhu game.
Pretty much, yeah.
And
so, but I mean, like, I really like to be involved. I like to be the opposite of a slug when we play tabletop. There's nothing, and I don't think video games will ever get to that point unless you're talking about like a virtual tabletop thing where you're essentially doing the same thing except you're moving little pieces on a virtual board.
I'm not even counting that. I will say, like, if I had to pick one, it would be something like an Eye of the Beholder. It would be something where you've got that perspective, and you're playing sort of under the D&D rules, you know, or even something like, a Rogue. I mean,
there's games that come closer than others. Like Matt mentions Divinity 2, which I'm playing right now. Like that has the same sort of like there's a system, there's a rule set to it that resembles D&D. But the whole aspect of like you can literally say and do whatever you want.
Yeah.
Video games can't do that. They can't do it yet, at least.
You know the Baldur's Gate, the new one.
Yeah.
Like that. Maybe that one's great.
Yeah.
Like I don't know.
Yeah.
I haven't played it, but people told me I would hate it. That's why I never played it. Plus the cheapness. But that one might be good at replicating it. But I mean, nothing beats being there.
Yeah.
You know, and
And you can because there's the whole thing too where you can influence the game by what you're doing in a way that a video game can never do. You know, you can be the GM can say something, you can say, "Are you sure this can't?" You know, you can kind of talk to him and wage,
and something else. And we haven't gotten here, sadly. But there was a time where I played like every week, maybe a couple times a week. And so I felt like I was a member of an elite fraternity of role players, and it was you would have your table, and I would talk to the DM sometime and get tips, and I really felt like I was in like a fraternity of brothers that all RPG'd, and it was fun, but that was fleeting. I mean, because once the game slowed down, as you get older, it's hard to do until you get to a certain point when it's not,
right,
which is coming,
right.
You know, so I'm looking forward to getting more role-playing games in as I get older.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Pixels of Dawn writes, what tabletop game would get the most benefit by being turned into a digital version that hasn't already been converted?
A tabletop game converted to a computer game.
Yeah.
God, so many. Because it's such a hassle to keep track of Like the one that comes to my head is Puerto Rico. It's a game where
I think Puerto Rico, but like, do you know for a fact it hasn't already been done? Okay.
I don't know that, but I'm saying I wouldn't know. But like that one, or even something like Power Grid, where you've got like there's a lot of stuff you got to keep track of that you can screw up. You know, so those two come to mind. But I mean, we've played a lot of those real heavy duty European games, and anything that has tons and tons of math. I'll tell you one. This is sort of cheating, but like. You know, I play Champions a lot, the pen and paper RPG. And specifically the superhero portion of that, Champions, not necessarily hero, but you get into some heavy duty math, where you're rolling all these dice. You know, it's nice to have a companion program that kind of takes the load off of you in that department. So at least you're aided at that point. I was using AI to simulate combats and stuff just to see how it worked, and it worked well. So I mean. There's something to be said for sort of integrating that, and I think Dungeons and Dragons did that almost like wholly. I mean, you can play a full game with their software that does all the math, keep track of all that stuff.
Yeah.
But in terms of board games, I mean, there are tons of them that could use that assist, but there are plenty that you don't need. We played a lot of. We just played some Arkham Horror, or no, what was it? We played House on the Hill. And whatever the D&D version of it is, we played that one too. And those are the kind of games you don't need it because you're turning over a tile and stuff. You don't need it for that. But for the more complex games where you're managing farmers and crops and all that stuff, that it would be, in my opinion, that's where it would help the most.
And like I said, I don't want to totally replace the tabletop experience with just sitting behind a screen.
Yeah.
But I think that I could definitely see a situation where you're playing one of these complicated Euro games and everybody has, say, like a tablet, and the tablet you're using to keep track of things. A lot of setup and tear down can be avoided by stuff like that.
How about one of those like virtual table gimmicks?
Yeah, one of those. Yeah.
You ever think about getting something like that?
I've thought about it. It's just I don't play often enough.
The thing is, I'm always afraid like you get one, and then the one you get, it's okay, and then the next one comes out, it's way better, and then you're boned.
That's also a thing. It's just like your pinball machine. You had the ad games thing, and then they come out with the 4K.
Yeah. But ad games, if they've talked about jumping on Shark, they screwed up big time on that. Their network was down for like weeks.
Yeah, I heard.
People were not happy.
Not good.
That's okay, because that's my after Boat Fest project, to suit my pinball machine back up.
Louis G writes, do you guys have any favorite hidden gems on the C64? Quick play, kind of arcadey stuff.
Park Patrol?
Yep,
is that what it's called?
That's what I was going to say. Park Patrol.
You're kidding me.
I'm
that's
not
the first one that popped in your head.
First one
my
that
God,
popped
what
in
is
my
wrong
head.
with us?
It's because it's literally one of the few C64 games that you don't really want to play on anything else.
It looks good. It's unique. It's got multiple avenues of gameplay.
Yep.
It's
great.
got cool sound. The plot is unique. So that's just if I had to pick one off the top of my head, that's the first one that popped in my head.
I'd go with that, and also Fix It Felix. You ever play Fix It Felix?
I don't think I've seen Fly play it, but I haven't played it.
It's great.
My kid's got a Fix It Felix mini arcade machine. I guess it's the same game.
Probably the same thing.
Yeah.
Santar asks, do you have a backlog or a game library?
A backlog of
like
films
games,
and stuff?
games. I think this is video game related. A backlog is, say, have you bought Steam games that you've not yet gotten to play yet?
Oh, sure, yeah, so many. I don't buy a ton, but I have gotten some. But again, given our situation, especially this time of the year, where we're really super into it, it's hard to play other stuff. That's one of the things I like about the Friday Night Disaster streams. I do get to try. That's one of the few times I get to play random stuff,
Yeah.
But most of the time I'm trying to get stuff because I don't want to shortchange anybody. When I talk about these games, I want to have some knowledge of what I'm talking about. I don't want to look like a jerk, and I don't want people to think that I'm phoning it in. So I try to get as much of the game as I can. But yeah, do I have a backlog? Absolutely. A backlog of films, backlog of TV shows, backlog of games. Yes, absolutely. One of these days when we finally put all this stuff to bed and we can just play whatever we want, we'll probably still get together. We'll probably still turn the camera on, sadly, but then we'll play some of this stuff.
Yeah, I'm the same way. Every summer, it's funny. I look at the summer as like, it's just like life. You're looking forward to this thing. I've got this. It seems like forever. This 3 months off, and then I realize, well, okay, I'm back August 1st. So for 2 months off, I can do this, and I make lists, and I have these plans.
Yeah.
They never come to fruition.
One of the reasons is you triple book yourself all summer with other jobs.
I never say no.
Took that list and throw it in the garbage.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, I will play stuff with my kids sometimes. But, like, here's another problem I've got. Okay, I've got time. What am I going to do? I'm so easily distracted. Like, what was I was playing the other night? I found this crappy old baseball game on some old computer I had. I don't know how I found it. It was an accident. And I was like, well, let's give this a whirl. And so I'll sit and play something stupid for an hour. And then I'm like, oh, time for bed. I'm dumb. You know, but you don't know.
I know. I'm with you.
I never disregard anything. That's not a good thing.
Adam writes, if you could go back in history and substitute one computer or console that was prevalent in the U.S. with a computer or console that is only prevalent elsewhere in the world, what would you substitute or exchange? So, for example, you could send the ST to Japan and bring the FM Towns Marty to the United States.
That's exactly what I was thinking about with the Marty. I wouldn't pick that, but that is funny. Listen, if I could get rid of one computer and bring one in, I mean, I could get really cheesy and say, like, well, I get rid of the Timex Sinclair, which was an absolute dud.
Right.
That was a horrible version of the ZX. And bring over, like, the X68000. That's probably what I would, something like that. I mean, I would love to have the X68000 over here, because what a machine that was, you know. Or the MSX is another one. Boy, I'd love to have that over here. So what do you send away? I think we don't have the girth. I mean, and if I could say something really cheesy, like I could pick one of these, like the Ohio Scientific Challenge or something like that, but I mean, no one knows what that is.
Right.
So, I mean, I could really cheat because of my ARG knowledge, but if I had to send over like a mainstream computer, I'd probably get rid of the Mac because I don't like Apple, and I would bring over something like, I don't like Microsoft either, so I guess that's the MSX out. So maybe it would be the FM Towns or the X68000. That might be fun.
See, to me, to make this more fun for me to think about, it would have to be a contemporaneous computer. Okay. So I wouldn't get rid of, like, because you could be like, well, I'm going to get rid of the Apple II and bring over the X68000.
Right. You know, and I don't know what year that even came out. Do you?
The X68000, I have no idea.
So I mean, I don't know if it was a contemporary of the GS or something. I don't know.
But if I'm playing by my own rules, I would get rid of the C64 and bring over the MSX.
Ooh.
Because the MSX, if you look at its Japanese library, impressive, super impressive. C64, everything that's on the C64 was done better on something else, except for Park Patrol.
I don't agree with that at all.
Oh,
my God, no.
Why not?
There's tons of good games on the CC. What about? Remember? Hey, listen, we played when we were doing ARG Presents. We played some. We played a couple games. Remember what's the one where you're hunting the guys in the woods?
Yeah, the forest thing.
That was Forbidden Forest.
Forbidden Forest.
It's real good.
I mean, 99% of the games that came out on the C64 were done better on other platforms.
I'd say I would agree with that if you were talking about the Atari 8-bit, but not the C64. Because if you compare those two,
well, listen, I'm not saying the C64 is way better than the Atari 8-bit.
Yeah.
But I have a sentimental attachment to the Atari 8-bit. So I'm sending away the C64. I'm bringing in the MSX.
Yeah, I tried to send away something I didn't think anybody would like, but not you. You have the what's the most popular thing? Screw that.
All right, next up. Okay, David Hearn Ryder asks, this is our final question.
Oh, okay.
You attend a garage sale and find an Amiga 4000, an Apple Lisa, a Zorba, and a Jupiter Ace.
Oh.
You can only afford one. Which do you buy and why?
So I don't know what a Zorba is.
I don't know either.
With you. And
the Greek.
I don't think the Jupiter Ace is that. You could get one if you wanted. It would cost some bucks, but not a ton. They're not, of course, if we found them, let me tell you something. If we went to a garage sale and found these things, I would fall over dead from a heart attack. I'd be so stunned. Yeah. I was stunned to find SimCity Amiga discs at a local hobby store, just the discs.
Right.
I would look at, it depends how you look at this. Here, look at which one of these would I like to have in my collection of that bunch? I'd probably pick the 4000. Which one of these do I think I could sell for the most money? It'd be Apple Lisa. Well, I don't know. I don't know about the Zorba. That's a problem. I don't know what the Zorba is. Yeah. You know, so it depends on what I was trying to do. Knowing me, it'd be the money factor. If I could get a good deal on it, you know, and could sell it, because I know those Lisas sell for
they're expensive
insanity
machines,
money. Yeah. I mean, the 4000 does too, but they're not.
It's not the same.
The Lisa's rare,
yeah.
So I would probably just because I'm cheap. But I mean, just if I was going to keep it and not resell it, I'd get the Amiga. Although the Jupiter Ace Brent would get. He loves that. It's another one of his favorites.
I get the Lisa because the 4000 at the end of the day it's a beige box. The Lisa looks cool. You know, it looks like a Mac, but it's got that thing sticking out of the side. There's a lot of, you know, it was the precursor to the Mac. You can't do anything. I mean, it is non-functional as a machine, but I like the aesthetics of it, and I'm an aesthetics person, so I'd go with the Lisa.
I'm just the kind of guy who likes money, and so I would go with the money one.
Yeah.
But the Lisa, you're right. This reminds me of sort of like if you were going to collect and get the Apple's Pippin. Right? Someone asked me about getting a Pippin one time, and I looked into it. Remember when I looked, and you could get one at the time, and it was a lot of money, but it wasn't a ridiculous amount of money. But at the end of the day, if you have a fully functional Pippin, there's just not anything to do with it.
Yeah.
You know, and so at the end of the day, what do you do with it? It just sits there.
It's a shelf piece.
Well, I mean, and my shelf doesn't need that.
You've got the Socrates already.
Not for long. So yeah, that's the reason. If you can't do anything with it, and you don't have any sentimental attachment to the history of it or whatnot, but yeah, for money, it's the Lisa, hands down.
That's going to do it for Ask the Amigos for this month. Thanks to everybody that sent in questions. We will see you next time, and until then, adios.